The genie's lamp was found by a small cheerful boy, who said he'd save the wishes for something important. Years later, the genie is finally awakened once more, to see the boy has become a grim-faced worn-looking man in a suit in a very important-looking office. Andrew is sitting at his custom-built solid oak office desk, running a shaky hand through his already disheveled hair. His other hand is tapping the table quickly, patience wearing thin. He abruptly gets up from his oversized leather chair and shuts the door, latching the lock behind him and quickly checking that all of the surrounding blinds are closed. Anyone watching would think he's paranoid. Once he's sure the perimeter has been secured, Andrew returns to his seat and pulls a small key from his pocket. With a quiet click, the bottom right drawer, one that hasn't been opened since the desk was purchased, is unlocked. He reveals an old, rusty-looking lamp settled into the dark blue velvet lining. It looks like an item that should be taken on Antique Roadshow rather than stuffed into the corner of a finance office. Andrew gently places the lamp in front of him, careful not to touch the metal for too long. He takes a number of deep breaths while perspiration gathers across his body. The fluorescent office lights seem to highlight the dark circles and deep lines etched across his face. While only in his mid-40s, Andrew could easily pass for 20 years older. No amount of good sleep or Botox could reverse the difficult years of Andrew's life since he started this company. After a few minutes, Andrew reaches a shaky arm forward. He firmly grabs the lamp and gently runs his thumb along a worn patch of metal. The room grows cold as a dark green mist begins to emerge from the top of the lamp, filling the entirety of the executive corner office that Andrew has occupied for the last 15 years. The silhouette of a man begins to appear from the green mist. Andrew remains still, unflinching to the events happening around him. The presence of this magical, mist-born man doesn't seem to concern him in the slightest. He stares intently as the man begins gaining facial features and speaks in a bright, booming voice. "Ah, it has been much too long. Andrew, I assume you have finally called me for good reason. I am intrigued at what wish you finally decided upon." The man from the mist is now solidified into a normal human, dressed in typical gray slacks and black shirt. If anybody looked into the office now, they would just assume that Andrew was having a typical meeting with one of his clients. The genie strides over to one of the chairs facing Andrew's desk and sits down, speaking again as he looks Andrew directly in the eyes. "It's unfortunate to see that life has not been easy for you, my friend. I can see the troubles written across your face. Much has happened since the last time we spoke. Please, tell me how I can assist." Andrew's brow furrows as he hears these words. His life has admittedly been difficult and there's little surprise that his genie can easily tell after all these years. Even though it's unnecessary, Andrew feels a need to explain himself to the man across the table. It takes him a few seconds to begin speaking. "I've waited much longer than I should have for this. Up until recently, I thought I'd made my own success. You were just a backup." Andrew fights back tears and looks towards the genie. "These are supposed to be the good years. My wife and I promised that we'd enjoy our time together after the company was successful, except she hates me now. She can't stand to be in the same room as me, leaving every time I walk through the door." Andrew's sadness turns to anger as continues. "My kids are awful. They want nothing but money, the self-centered pricks. My parents are gone. I have all this," he gestures around the expansive room and top-floor suite, "and nothing that truly makes me feel like I won. I want you to make me happy. I don't care what it costs, the implications don't matter anymore. Do whatever you need to make me happy." The genie pauses, giving Andrew a few moments to add anything further or perhaps change his mind. The room stays silent while the genie leans forward, placing his elbows to his knees and looking down as he clasps his hands together. "Do you remember the rules we discussed, many years ago? Your wish must be final. I cannot reverse time once this has been set into motion." Although Andrew's heart is pounding loud enough to hear, his voice has no hint of hesitation. "Yes, I'm sure. Please." After a brief moment, the genie snaps his fingers and the room begins spinning. Andrew closes his eyes as he feels himself thrust from his chair. Perhaps he is flying? Falling? His mind goes blank, and before he can even take a moment to regret his decision, he forgets everything. Andrew immediately regains his senses. And once again, he's just an ambitious boy holding an old lamp from his grandmother, with no recollection of a life he's already lived.